Joining me now, Randi Weingarten. She's the president of the American Federation of Teachers. I mean, Randi, my mom used to write my name all over my clothes. It was all I could do to just not lose my gloves and coat. Kids don't carry immigration papers with them. They certainly can't answer questions about their parents' immigration status. So if I understand the solution, I understand people who are keeping their kids from going to school. It can't be good under any circumstances to do that.
So first, thank you for the intro that you just did, because you captured what's going on in schools across America, not just the big urban schools that people talk that we had members talk to you and talk to others from, but all across America,
right,
public and private. So I want to say this as clearly as I can to every parent in America right now. The school educators in the United States are going to do everything we can to protect our children, period. We did that during COVID. We do that, God forbid, when there's gunshots in schools. We do that in weather. We want schools to be safe and welcoming places. So there's two things that we have done thus far. Number one, as soon as President Trump lifted the safe, sensitive areas directive, which has been longstanding policy, that you don't have ICE agents go into schools, churches, or hospitals. We wrote him, pleaded with him. I am not beyond pleading.
Right.
Do not do that. And we're going to go to Congress and we're going to fight, and we already have a campaign to fight to try to rescind that rescission, because schools need to be safe and welcoming places. Number two, we are teaching our members all throughout the country and parents what to do. There are some places that have it in their collective bargaining contract, like Chicago. There are some places like New York where we used to have a policy that said very clearly you need a judicial warrant. And people are asking Mayor Adams to keep that policy in place. So, but essentially, we need if ICE is going to come into a school, there needs to be a judicial warrant. And let me say why.
In the same way that you would come in if you thought you had a murder suspect
exactly,
there.
because think about it. As schools, because this is fearing Native parents and kids and immigrant parents and kids. Think about what it means if in a school, all of a sudden a kid is taken by these people with guns. What the scare, the fear for all parents, for all kids is profound.
Right.
But if you're a school teacher, if you're a school administrator, you're in locus parentis. We have an obligation to our kids during the day. So we're not just giving a kid to somebody else.
Right.
And so that's what we are teaching people. And that is who teachers are. And frankly, if anybody in this administration is listening, you were elected to try and make life better for people. Don't make it worse. And so that's why the teachers, even though most teachers are not political, what this is doing is politicizing teaching and learning by taking kids away. So that's why I end where I started. We're protecting our kids, and ultimately there needs to be a judicial warrant. And if you're in a school, for any teachers who are listening, if you're in a school that this happens, you got to call the principal immediately. The principal has to call the superintendent. Unless there is a judicial warrant, you have no idea who these people could be.
Right.
They could be terrorists. They could be somebody else.
Right.
We need to see a judicial warrant.
Well, who enforces that? Because when federal agents show up, who's got the power in the school? Are we looking for our security officers to be the ones?
That's really why the superintendent has to be the one who has the power in schools. And look, you know, superintendents they're in charge. So it has to be the superintendent, it has to be the principal. And, you know, one can be nice and polite about it, but how do you just give kids over to somebody with a gun that says that they have a U.S. tag on them? You have to have a protocol and procedure. But what we have seen, what we have said, even with this order lifted, which was really I mean, can you imagine a hospital, somebody just ripping somebody off a ventilator? I mean, this is about fear. This administration, I thought, was elected to try to make America great again, make America better, help people lift their standards of living, not create fear for regular folks across the country, particularly our children.
Maybe, and I don't want to compare it to book banning, they're both really bad, but maybe this is a thing that will animate people who did want their price of eggs to be lower, but to say, I didn't sign up for this. We don't want kids separated from their parents anywhere in the world, including in America.
Exactly right. And look, just like how many times, I mean, I feel like it's deja vu with all the culture wars, but how many times do we basically say on your show, no, we're going to give out books instead of ban books. Yeah. And obviously, parents have a right to make decisions about what kids read. But we're trying to spark the love of learning. Yeah. We don't want fear in schools. Yeah. And this order creates fear in schools. How does that help kids learn? That's generational to undo. Randi, thank you for the work you're doing. We'll continue to have this conversation. Randi Weingarten is the president of the American Federation of Teachers.